probably should work out what I'm going to discuss today. I think I just threw my pen across the floor. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today's video is going to be talking about a brand new project, or a larger project I started anyway, back in January. And we've been doing throughout partly lockdown, but also a little bit before as well. So for obvious reasons, we're not going to be going into too much depth, but I thought it'd be valuable to talk about Molly's online course in this video. And I wanted to go over some notes. So if I do look down in this video, it's because I'm referring to the very small amount of notes that I did take. Also, I'm debating around creating a little behind the scenes on set video, because I did get some footage from behind the scenes on set and showing that setup. So we're going to talk through that a little bit. So the main setup was this GH5 on the Manfrotto tripod, and as always, I'll link all the video gear in the description down below. They're going to be affiliate links for those of you who are interested, so I get a very small commission back. But with that disclaimer out of the way, let's jump straight into the video. So this project was to create Molly Cook, the owner of the Hair Extension Cave, an online course specifically. Now, you may be asking, Colin, why are you making this video? That seems pretty self-explanatory. Now, I think there's a couple of things I've learned, and one of the main things I've got written down here is, what did you learn from creating that online course? So I think the reason why I'm creating this video is it's going to be good for me to reflect on, but also going to be really good for me to talk about a little bit when it comes to specifically how I went about tackling such a large scale project. So what did I learn in this process? Well, the initial thing was like actually setting expectations at the very, very start. So when I quoted the project, I was like, hey, let's see what we can do. I would love the idea, I love the opportunity, but I don't honestly know, because you never do know how much editing time this is really going to take. So I can't really give you a final, it's going to be X. These are some of the things I've done before, and they're similar size of projects, and they kind of roughly around costings. And yeah, so that was the first hurdle. Second hurdle was then getting those days booked in and scheduled in, and making sure those days were as packed in as possible when it came to the actual filming, and making sure we're optimizing our time specifically when it comes to the actual filming days. So what Molly had done is Chris. Why do I get distracted so many times? You literally do this for a living, and you can't even do a talking head video where you don't look outside or don't get distracted. So the first thing that I've really learned is being able to have now more of a good understanding on how long online courses really take to make, how long in regards to turnaround time, but also how long in regards to editing and filming and etc. as well. So yeah, so we ended up doing it in 2 to 3 shoot days total, something like that. And in most cases the first day, and if I, from the power of hindsight, I would recommend that no one does a shoot day like this followed by another shoot day, because I was exhausted, Molly was exhausted, and I think in some ways that meant we had to refilm some bits, and that meant we actually had to redo some stuff and etc., because we were both exhausted of the idea of filming. But also, like, scheduling can be really difficult as well, so this is something to keep in mind when moving forward. But then we went on to basically planning out. Now Molly had done a very good job, and I would appreciate everyone who is going to be doing an online course with anyone, you explain to your client that you are looking to do this as cost effective and time effectively as possible. So by doing that, you need to make sure you've done enough pre-production. Now this could be your client does the pre-production if it's their course, and you can do a lot of planning and do a lot of theory and understand exactly what elements you do want to cover and what elements you really do want to showcase and really, you know, add to this video and add to this course to really teach. And also quite ask yourself, are you in the position, like for example, myself, I've wanted to create an online course for a while, but am I currently in the position to be able to provide you, the consumer, with enough value in that course? Do I know enough knowledge? Have I gained enough experience? Only you will be the judge, and only you can be the judge of that for yourself. Personally, I think I can start planning mine, but I don't think I should release mine or really look to start actually creating mine as of yet, because I don't feel I've learned enough. But we'll see. You know, we might try and see where the hurdles are, and if I feel like I've got enough, then I may look to build mine. But there was a couple of things regarding like takes and the amount of takes that we do and how we do it as well, and I think it's one of those things that's known as the warm-up process. And when you're doing some more structure-based content, a lot of people ask me, do you get your clients to script that video, or do they just have notes? And for some videos specifically, Molly was reading off a bit of paper, but it was just like from basic notes in the same way I am here, which allows me to show you and explain to you why I have the specific notes I have and the elements I want to cover, to make sure that I don't miss anything out and to make sure that I'm happy with the overall video on actually reflecting how I found this course. So if I didn't have these notes, I would have a very difficult time doing that, and it would become very rambly and etc. Now arguably, some would say it is rambly at the moment, but that's why you wouldn't necessarily, in my case, want to script the whole video. Because if you script the whole video, what can happen is I'm going to talk like this because it's very obvious that I'm really going to be watching something, and yeah, you don't want that. So something to keep in mind, something to think about, is that you need to think about how your business owner, your talent, whoever's teaching is going to come across on camera, because it is what is going to allow that course to be engaging. It is going to be allow that video to really stand out from the rest, especially if you're looking to charge a premium on that course as well. So a lot of people do ask me, why do I specifically film in 4K? I mean, one of my brand values is always doing something better than is necessary, right? We're not trying to do stuff that's just, oh yeah, we can do it because it's, you know, just quality enough or etc. I always want to try and push that boundary on what's possible, but also what allows you to do when you have 4K footage over, you know, 1080p, for example, and you're only delivering in 1080p, it allows you to have that opportunity to be able to crop in to your image. So for example, say we're filming someone's hair, but we actually end up only really want to focus in on a specific scissor cut or a specific way how we're brushing or etc, whatever we're doing, then it allows me to not have to commit to that tight angle, which is going to be harder to film and may miss other things that are happening in the scene. Like for the bottom, if for example we're seeing the whole head of hair, if we're cropped in at say 35mm, we're not going to be able to see the whole head of hair. But if I film it at 4K at say 24mm or 18mm on this lens, then I'm allowed and I'm able to have the full head of hair to be seen on the camera, but also then the option to crop in and actually follow whatever's happening on screen as well. And something which I've started doing in my videos, but also something which I really enjoyed doing when it came to the course, was taking stuff that we still wanted to show and speeding up that video where it was relevant whenever there was not stuff that was actually being talked about, but also adding some frame blending. And this is going to be a little tip that anyone who's looking to up what they do with video and they haven't quite got to the point where they want to take time lapses seriously, or it's budgetarily or challenging to do, because you also want to use the audio of the video and you also want to be in a position where you can choose when it's sped up and when it isn't. So what you can do is, if you go onto Premiere and you go into the little drop down menu and it goes frame sampling by default, you can go to frame blurring or frame blending, sorry, and it will basically try and emulate that drag shutter look. Now of course it's not going to be as good as if you actually did drag your shutter, but also something you can do is if you have a time lapse where you've already dragged your shutter, it will add even more blur on that movement and even add more blur, which in my opinion is a more desired look than otherwise. So this is how we were able to show what Molly was doing in a very small period of time in comparison to the actual reality, especially when it's like something that we've already discussed. As she did one row and we wanted to show how high on the model's head, for example, we went up, we were also able to show how high we went up without having to forget the audience to sit through hours and hours of footage, because we were able to time lapse a lot of it and speed it up, but also not lose that quality. So that's why we kept it 4K. And yeah, I think we're gonna possibly, just the last thing I wanted to mention was it's okay to have outtakes. It's okay to have like moments where it's not overly professional, because you need to remember that when you do an online course or any long form content with that person, you're going to be with that person for days and days and days, or hours and hours and hours. So thank you so much for watching this video. Apologies that it actually did end up being rather abrupt. For some reason, the GH5 decided to stop filming midway through a sentence. I don't think I pressed anything, but you know, that's what happens. So if you did enjoy this video and this reflection on Molly's project, then make sure to leave this video with a like, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you very, very soon.